Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a 7-game NBA slate. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really does help the channel a lot. Really do appreciate it. We have a nice little slate here with 7 games. We do have some injuries today, which hopefully might open up some stuff. We do have a couple value plays today, better than some of the last few days, but it's still kind of a rough slate from that perspective. Though we shouldn't have any silly running up to score games like we did yesterday, which really kind of messed around with daily fantasy. But regardless of that, we will have a pretty good slate here, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start with the injury report here. So for the Lakers, LeBron is questionable, and Hachimura and Vincent are out. For the Magic, Carter Jr. is out, Fultz is out, and Isaac is questionable. For the Suns, Beal is out, Durant and Allen are questionable. For the 76ers, Oubre is out. For the Jazz, Clarkson and Olenek are questionable, and Markkanen is out. For the Grizzlies, Smart and Tillman and Kennard are all out. For the Rockets, Thompson is out. For the Nuggets, Joker is questionable, Murray is questionable, and Gordon is questionable. And for the Clippers, Plumlee is out. So let's get into the slate of plays I do like. Now I do have 3 core plays here in Ivy, Duren, and Sengun, and I will get to them. I'm going to go through the list in price order. So we'll start with Embiid here. Now, with Joker being questionable, Embiid is the de facto top play of the slate. Though he does carry a little bit of risk as due to his price. He's been extremely good lately, scoring some monster games. Now, he does have a good matchup here against the Pelicans as well, and so I do like him from that perspective, but I do think he's a decent play on the slate and has triple-double potential, though he does need to continue to score over 30 real points every single game, like he has been for the last few. Then we'll look at Desmond Bane for Memphis. Now, he does feel like a GPP play as he has a low floor, as he's been hitting that a lot in random games. Memphis has been all over the place. This is not the most ideal matchup against Utah, who tends to be a little bit of a slow-down team, but this game could end up being a pretty high-scoring game because it should be close, and I do think that Memphis has some upside in this matchup, and so he has also done very well against Utah recently with a 62 fantasy point game, though he is averaging 44 fantasy points in the 2 games against Utah this season, but that is okay for his fantasy potential today. Then we'll look at Sengun, who is a core play for me at center. Honestly, it's going to be tough for center today because there's a lot of pretty good ones. Sengun has played very well lately. He's also got a great matchup here against Denver, who he's actually done very well against so far this season, averaging 50 fantasy points in the 2 games against them. If Joker is out, he would be a great play. Right now, he's a really good play as it is, but he would turn into my favorite play on the slate by a lot if Joker ends up being ruled out. Then we'll look at Van Vliet for Houston. He also draws some really good metrics today. He's played very well against Houston as well, and he has some really good games there, averaging 42 fantasy points a game, and his price is still pretty good, so he's definitely in play today, though he does carry a little bit of risk, as he's been good against Denver, but he does, his price is coming up more and more, so I do think he's a good play, though, today. Kawhi Leonard also in play for the Clippers. Now, he's been up and down since Harden joined the team, but he's been a little bit more consistent recently, and they get a really nice favorable matchup here against the Kings. And I expect him to play around 30 or so minutes and have some potential to score 30 or more real points, which should put him over the edge. He's had a couple ups and down games, but it looks like this is the type of game where more of the Clippers could get involved and be a good fantasy day for a lot of them. Then we'll look at Franz Wagner for Orlando. Now, he looks like a very interesting play today. The only reason he wasn't a core play for me today is because his price has popped up so much, but he's been playing very well lately, and they get another very favorable matchup against Washington, so I look for him to be a pretty solid play on the slate. And then we'll look at Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, I really have wanted to like him all season, but he hasn't been consistent. His price has come down a little bit, which is going to give him some potential here. He hasn't been as good as we expected him to be. His peripheral stats have really been all over the place. That said, he is capable of big games, and this is a good matchup for him, especially if some of the guys for Utah are out, which it looks like they are going to be, so he definitely draws some potential on the slate. Then we'll look at Jaren Duren. He looks like a great option on the slate. He's only played a handful of games so far this season as he's been hurt a couple times, but he's back now, and he's played a full complement of minutes after the first couple games back. And he's got a really great matchup against the Lakers, who are gimpy and not great at defense. So I look for him to have a really solid outing here. And his price is still really good. Once he gets over $8,000, he'll probably be hard to roster. But right now, he's priced very fairly. and has a lot of potential. Then we'll look at Cole Anthony. Now he's got a good matchup here against Washington, and he gets a nice boost with Fultz out, and so he's a good play off the bench. So just keep in mind he does come off the bench, but he's a good option on the slate, and so he's got some utility here. D'Angelo Russell is mostly a GPP play at this point, but if LeBron was to be ruled out, then he would become a core play, as he's priced pretty fairly still, though he does have a low floor. He's got a high ceiling when anybody's ruled out for them. Then we'll look at Jabari Smith, who I really wanted to make a core play today, but he's just a little bit pricey, as he's also had a lower floor a few games. He had a slump for a couple of weeks, but he looks like he's really playing well right now, and his minutes are up. And he's got a good matchup here against Denver, who he should have. He's going to need to score a double-double to really pay off here, and he definitely has that potential in this matchup. Then we're going to look at Jaden Ivey, who is a core play for me for Detroit against the Lakers. He's played very well lately. I really like his upside, though I will point out that he does have a lower floor, but mostly because he wasn't starting, but now he's back to starting again, and he looks like he's playing pretty well in these games since he's joined the starting lineup. So he's definitely somebody that I like at this price point with the minutes and usage he's got. He's a good play on the slate. And then for some value plays, we'll look at Goga for Orlando. Now, he has been pretty decent, though he doesn't play a ton of minutes most of the time. He's a little bit pricey here, but he does have some potential here in this matchup. I just, carry a GPP tag here for now, unless we can get a little bit more consistent minutes and more usage upside. But he's got good rebounding skills, and he can score some buckets occasionally, and he does have a low end double potential. Obviously, we got a double. He'd pay off very nicely. Trey Lyles has only played 3 games, but he's been playing about 25 minutes in those games. The Minnesota game was the only game he didn't play, but 20 minutes. But his price range here is still pretty decent, and I kind of think he'll get at least 20 fantasy points, and he'll help you pay up for some other guys. So he's definitely somebody to consider on the slate as kind of one of the few value plays that has some upside. And in this matchup, he should definitely have a little bit more upside. Then we'll look at Batum for Philly. He's played very well in spurts as a starter, but he's been inconsistent. But he has a huge ceiling, as he's been over 30 fantasy points in 2 straight, and he gets another pretty favorable matchup here, especially with Harris not playing particularly well right now. He's taking more usage, and he's been playing pretty well as a result. Hopefully that can continue here tonight, as his price is nice and cheap. With that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.